The AstraZeneca vaccine will no longer be available as a voluntary opt-in basis and instead will be added into the National Covid-19 Immunisation Programme, or PIC. According to the Coordination Minister for the programme, Khairi Jamaluddin, the great response showed there was no longer any hesitancy among the community for the vaccine. AstraZeneca will now be put in rotation alongside the Pfizer-BioNTech and Sinovac vaccines. The AstraZeneca vaccine had been removed from PIC following public concern over its possible link to rare incidences of blood clots. Khairi also said that they were looking to allow the public to choose the vaccine they want, as well as the venue and date to get it. Furthermore, he also apologised for problems faced by applicants trying to register for the second batch opt-in AstraZeneca vaccination yesterday, admitting that the user experience could have been better. Malaysia has so far administered 2.605 million doses across the country, with 937,756 completing their second dose, while 1.667 million have received their first dose. The target is to achieve 150,000 jabs a day in June. New daily COVID-19 cases reached another new record high today of 7,857, making it the third consecutive day where new cases are above the 7,000 mark. There were 4,598 recoveries today and 59 new deaths. Maybank saw its net profit for the first quarter improve by 17% to 2.39 billion as loans picked up as the economic outlook recovers, coupled with lower expenses and impairments. This was despite revenue for the quarter declining to 12.2 billion from 13.2 billion previously. No dividend was declared for the quarter. Maybank's return on equity stood at 11.7% compared with 10.6% last year, and after acknowledging the continued impact of COVID-19 on business, the bank revised its headline KPI ROE to 9% for FY21. Total capital ratio was 17.5% on March 31st, 2021, and its fully loaded CET1 ratio was 14.2%. Chairman Tan Sri Zamzam Zairani Muhammad Isa says Maybank remains hopeful of a gradual economic recovery for the region, even as it recognizes the current spike in COVID-19 infections. President and CEO Dato' Abdul Farid Alias says the country's largest bank will continue to be guided by its M25 plan and seek to drive its digitalization strategy further, as that will prove the crucial key. He also points out that one of the risks financial institutions are facing is that credit implications arising from the movement restrictions are still camouflaged owing to the various repayment assistance schemes. As at May 10, 2021, some 17% of the outstanding loan balance in Malaysia remained under relief. He says that banks need to continue to monitor the situation closely in order to protect the system. Petronas Chemicals Group's first quarter net profit nearly tripled to 1.46 billion from 506 million a year earlier, bolstered by a recovery in global crude oil prices, even as concerns over COVID-19 remain. Revenue improved 20% to 4.68 billion. It did not declare any dividend for the quarter. Going forward, PETCHEM says its results are expected to be primarily influenced by global economic conditions, prices of petrochemical products such as olefins, and utilization rate. As the pandemic continues to disrupt global business, PETCHEM says it will continue with its operational excellence program and anticipates petrochemical product prices to remain strong in the coming quarter amid continued tight supply and demand recovery. Tenaga Nasional's first quarter net profit rose 33.5% to 958.7 million, powered by significant reductions in foreign currency translation loss and paper accounting gains on fair value of financial instruments. However, revenue dipped to 11.48 billion from 11.65 billion, mainly due to a reduction in electricity sales. Operating expenses were reduced by 4.2% to 9.15 billion from 9.54 billion, mainly due to lower generation costs. No dividend was declared for the quarter. On its prospects, TNB says amid the developments surrounding the pandemic, it foresees a prospect of gradual recovery on its performance for 2021. The national power provider says it has taken prudent measures in terms of its operational and financial requirements to ensure it remains resilient. Most investment analysts have recommended their clients to step away from SERBA DINAMIK holdings for the time being, citing uncertainties after its external auditor KPMG raised some flags. Analysts have downgraded their calls on the setting up of an independent review over the matter raised by long-term auditor KPMG. However, SERBA DINAMIK did not reveal the details in its filing with Bursa Malaysia. The counter was suspended today pending the release of further clarification. It last traded at RM1.61. Analysts expect the news on an independent review would trigger potential selling pressure on SERBA DINAMIK's shares, as corporate governance and financial integrity would be a concern before the outcome of the independent review, which may take a while. It should be noted that K-Power's counter stumbled following the SERBA DINAMIK news, given that they have an executive in common, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Abdul Karim Abdullah. It closed 14% down at RM1.45, despite reassuring investors that they were two distinct and separate entities running independently of each other.